Okay. All right. My name's Hollis Bailey, and I'm here with my dear friend and co-facilitator, Andrea Walker. And this video is is really well, it's probably not going to be as short as we want it to be. We expect these videos to be shorter, but there's
I
so
know,
much
right?
wisdom to share. But I am, we are, I have a 6 month program that's called Hire, and it's essentially each month we have a theme. It's timeless information. It helps you walk through opening up your heart to getting to know yourself on a deep level. We do inner child work. We take a look at our past. And really, the way I describe it is like after 6 months, you have cleaned up everything from your past that you need to clean up to be able to be in your current state of age, being, knowingness, in order to be able to start really getting effective results from the manifestation work that you want, from be able to create the desire that everyone talks about. Manifestation, law of attraction, we're creating our lives. Well, we are, but a lot of us haven't started doing the inner work or haven't done even enough of it to really clear out the cobwebs from the past. So what my program does, and we work with psilocybin, we talk about psychedelics, we work with microdosing. If that's something that you want to do, there's a whole microdose course built into my course. And this is really, choose your own path. You don't have to work with psychedelics, but it's what I talk about quite a bit. There's a retreat available if you choose to come to that after we've done a couple months of work together. And it's really timeless information. The majority of my students take this program 2, even 3 times. I have a couple people in this round that's starting on November 1st that are here for their 3rd time. So it's timeless information. And of course, every time you give a program, you bring upgrades to it. So I'm here with Andrea, who I've chosen to bring in because we're going to upgrade this program with the knowledge, the wisdom, and I'm going to let Andrea explain this a lot better than I will, with a program called the Gene Keys. Now, a big part of knowing yourself and your soul purpose, I talk about soul purpose a lot. This is something I call, Hire is something I call a quantum program, because essentially we are learning how to move past the mind. We're getting connected with our heart. We're getting into heart coherence. I'm teaching you the skills to become your own healer and your own guide and your own manifester. And in order to do that, you need to know yourself at the core really, really well. I've known the Gene Keys for about 4 years. I tried to work them on my own a couple of times, and it wasn't until I started working with Andrea a few months ago until it like has sunk in and completely been the upgrade, the up level, the blast the doors wide open for me and knowing who I am, even after all of the years of work that I've done. This has been the thing that has just blasted me off like into a knowing beyond what I even knew possible, to know who I am, what I'm here to do, how I do that in a responsible and effective way. The shadow's always going to be there. There's always going to be stuff that comes up. So it's not like we get over things and then there's no work to be done. And so this my program is really about learning the skills to practice on a daily basis to do that. Now, when you bring the Gene Keys into it, it's just that next level of deep knowingness. I guess the way I'm looking at it is like how to really work with yourself as a unique individual. And I'm going to give you a general set of skills. What the Gene Keys is going to bring into it is you're going to know how to use my skills and then apply them as necessary based on your personal profile. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Andrea. And I had a lot of questions. The launch started yesterday. The program doesn't begin until November 1st, so you have a little bit to think about it if you're going to join us. But of course, the questions were, what are the Gene Keys? What's this new addition to the program? And we're not going to go through all the details of how it's fitting in, but let me invite my dear friend of like a decade. Has it been a decade?
Oh, it's been just a wonderful long time. Yeah, I don't know exactly, but
It's been a
so
long time.
so
We
great.
met
Yeah.
we met in nutrition school. So
That's
we've
right.
been
I always forget that. That was like
in
a
the
lifetime ago.
it was a lifetime ago in the Pacific Northwest. Andrea's still in the Pacific Northwest. I'm now in Baja, Mexico. We see each other often, thank God, because Andrea loves to travel
Yes.
and loves to surf. And
Yes.
Andrea is just like such a uh, she's like a living library, literally. Anytime I have a question about anything, I could Google it or I could call Andrea. I love you for that. And not only is it like your mind that you just know and are a good learner, but Andrea is also incredibly intuitive, which I don't think anyone who isn't really tapped in and intuitive could be teaching the gene keys
Yeah. Yeah.
because it's so unique and it's so it, I don't want to say it's general, but it's like it is really
It's
just so unique to
conceptual. It's
you. It's
abstract.
conceptual. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, so great. Thank you, Hollis. And I am so excited about what we are going to be doing in your this next level of your program. I mean, it's like a dream to bring these things together. I have
Yeah.
admired your work for so long. You have been a great teacher for me. You are just a glowing, amazing, incredible leader into these realms, and you have such power in your facilitation. And it's an honor to be able to contribute to that and be part of that. And I think that the two modalities are going to be amazing. So let me just speak a little bit about the gene keys. And earlier you
Mhm.
said a phrase that really stuck with me, that your this program that you're offering is like, I think you said, correct me if I'm wrong, it's like a 6-month ceremony to do
Yes.
your program. That is exactly also what it feels like to me that the gene keys are. They are this long ceremony. It's the same medicine, but it's slowed down and expanded out in this different way. And so I like to call them an archetypal blueprint for living. Another phrase I use is a modernized, personalized I Ching. It's a map of your psyche. It's a map of what you came here to do, your soul mission.
Mhm.
And there's so much richness. They're infinitely rich. And a lot of times people do approach the gene keys and they get overwhelmed and they don't know how to get into it. I mean, because I mean, it is like the books are like this big and it's very dense. And I'm so built for that it just sucked me in. I just got completely consumed when I first came into it. And now it's my great honor to be a guide and a kind of a bridge into this work that, yes, it can have infinite richness, but it also has gifts right away. So
Yeah.
I'm really excited about that. And it's a very, what I like to say about this work, without getting too much in the weeds about what it looks like and the parts and pieces, is that there is a knowledge and insight piece, but there is also this activation piece that is kind of
Mhm.
mysterious and it's kind of what happens with ceremony, right? Like there's
I
this
was just I was just gonna
activation,
say,
right?
can I
Yeah.
say something?
Yeah,
It
please
so I
do.
think the reason that these two I mean my program is not it's not any new information. And I don't think that the gene keys are either. I mean, they will
They're
be,
old information. They're
but
based on the
they're
I Ching, which is like
right.
4,000 years old. So yeah.
Right. It's like timeless information.
Yeah.
And so every time you open that door to the timeless
Yeah.
information, it's
Yeah.
like it's like we just to put things in perspective. At the beginning of the program, everyone sets an intention and we work with one intention for 6 months.
Mm.
So you can go through this whole thing this in my program, the Gene Keys, with a whole nother intention. And I say that because I heard you said that to me the other day when we were having a conversation. It's like you can continue to go through the Gene Keys over and over and over, and it's like you'll continue to just go deeper, that one level
Yeah.
deeper, the one level deeper. And so I think that's why our our they're not our separate programs. No, it's one program. We're just mixing them. I
Yeah.
think that's why it's going to go so well, because it's like you can study, you can read the Gene Keys book, or you could read the materials in my program, but
Yeah.
if you don't actually apply it to your life and do the action steps, then it's just going to be knowledge. And that's not that higher. That's the whole basis of higher, is that we immediately in month one integrate. We can't live from up here. We have to live here. So we're
Yeah.
going to read things and know things, but then you have to let it sink in. So I'll let you talk.
Yeah.
So I want to ask you,
Well, let me just say something on that because it's a really
yeah,
important piece actually. And before I go further, I want to point back to the author Richard Rudd. Some of you may know that, and I always want to recognize the origin of the work, and I always incorporate that, and that's going to be part of this as well, is the origin, the home base of the work. And Richard Rudd is just a brilliant and humble receiver of this information, which is one, has great integrity. And one thing that he says about this work is that contemplation is activation. So there actually is a little distinction there, that simply the contemplation, taking in the meaning of that particular key in that particular space, and then living your life, having a light touch with it. And that's what I think is so exciting, because what you bring is practices that help you be more connected to that part of yourself that is going to be able to receive the information from the contemplation, that
mhm,
integration of that information. So they're really well made together, because we're not adding on something that's onerous, all this extra stuff you have to do. There is a little bit of extra stuff, right? You have to kind of have a little bit of time contemplating, but
mhm,
when the synergy of these two things together, it's like a rocket ship, this kind of, you have the input of the contemplation, and then you have the rigor of what you are bringing in terms of their practices and their new ways of exploring and integrating in daily life. And I just think that there's so much richness there. I mean, I think we're going to be astounded
yeah.
at the exponential quality of that.
I 100% know that. And I want to comment too on the microdosing, because again, it's
Oh
not
yeah.
a required action, but we
No.
do talk about it starting in month one. And I just have to say, I haven't personally been microdosing for a while, because I've been trying. This summer was just about me being grounded, and it was yeah, a personal choice. And but I've been in Andrea's program now for a few months, and I just started microdosing about 10 days ago,
Oh
and
yeah.
everything was like just like
Yeah.
lit up. Like I've called Andrea a few times. I've been like, I can't do this. I'm not getting it. Da, da, da. And she's like, just let it play out in your life. And I did. And then I took a little bit of mushrooms, and I was like, wow, like everything is just went click, bang,
Yeah.
boom.
Yeah.
So again, not a
I love
requirement,
that.
but we, we are going into the expanded
Yeah.
levels of consciousness. We get out of our own way. That's one of the things I love about psilocybin, is I get out of my own damn way. I get out of the loops and the limited thinking, even though I know the tools and I practice. That's one
Mm.
huge benefit of taking, a very minuscule dose of psilocybin. So we'll be learning about that. But I do have to say
Mhm.
that, especially with the people who are going to be doing the microdosing, I think it's going to be just, you're going to feel like you've learned. It's just like going through a ceremony, 12 years of therapy in one night.
Yeah, that's so beautiful. That's so beautiful. And I wanted to just back up for a second for people who might not even know what the heck we're talking about. Like, what are the gene keys? So
Yeah.
the gene keys are a transmission received by Richard Rudd, and he was an advanced student of Ra Uhuru, who was the originator of human design. So there's some relationship there. There's some overlap. I don't even want to say overlap, but you will recognize resonance. But Richard received this as this completely new way of characterizing these archetypes. And so, just a really super quick primer, when you run your chart, which is something you can do, anyone can do at genekeys.com, you will get this chart of these little circles with these numbers in them. So I just want to speak to that because somebody's probably like, what are they even? So um,
Here, they look like
there's
that.
one right there, right? And we have this beautiful quantum marker of our birth date to run this chart, beautiful, and each one of those is denoting a certain area of life, and some of them are a little bit easier to understand and unpack than others. Some of them are maybe a little bit more inscrutable, and within each one of those you have that a number between 1 and 64, and then a dot, and then another number. And we won't even get into the details of what that is. But suffice it to say that you have a single gene key in each one of these, and that is going to give you various flavors or qualities of the energy of that area of life for you. Really beautiful. And they're based on the 64 hexagrams of the I Ching. So again, that ancient knowledge. That's where the personalized, modernized I Ching, like you can actually see in your life's work area, which one do you have? Like, who doesn't want to know that, right? It's so compelling. And so there's two things that I want to get out about that. In each one of these spheres, you have each gene key has a what's called a shadow frequency, a gift frequency, and a city. So right away, it's very democratic. We all have 11 shadows. We all have 11 gift frequencies. We all have 11 divine energy frequencies. So we all have this, and it's about understanding how those are operating in your life, and how to accept all of them, and to be more intentional about choosing which one you're working from. So that's just so hope giving. And then finally, the last thing I want to say about it is that this is literally a map that you can get. You can run this map that shows you what are the 11 primary shadows in your life, that puts a name on them, that explains them to you, that tells you what area of life they might be occurring in. That is so powerful. You do not have to be in the dark guessing what your shadows are, and they're abstract and conceptual enough that they're open. So they are going to be active in your life in whatever specific way that they are. And no two people have the same combination of gene keys and locations. No two people have the same lived experience. So I just wanted to give that little kind of background on them and sort of pique interest, because who doesn't want to know what their roadmap of shadows is? Your roadmap of creative gifts, what you came here to do. And then finally, your roadmap of Siddhi, Siddhi, divine essences, which tells all of us that we all have the seeds of divine energy within us, every single one of us. And that message to me just gives me chills. It's such a beautiful meta message. It shifts you just to hear that before you even start looking at your own personal chart.
100%. And when just speaking for myself, when I started looking at in the way you just described it, like I said, I tried to do it on my own and it just didn't click for me. I really needed a guide. But when when I started looking at and I'm going to ask Andrea, I'm going to ask you then
Yeah.
just next to go through the four that we're going to
Oh,
cover
right. Yes, yes.
in higher, because we're not going to go through the whole sequence. We're going to go through four
Good
because
point. Good
it
point.
takes it takes time to contemplate, and it's I
Yeah.
don't want to say it's overwhelming, but it's worth it to sit on it, because once I started sitting on these, it's like it totally makes sense. But to actually, like I said, get beyond the mind and change things, jump from the shadow and embody more of the gift or the city, it's like it takes a lot of humility It takes a
Yeah.
lot of humility, it takes a lot of self-honesty, and that's the only way anyone is ever going to get to the root of their true soul purpose, why we
Yeah.
came here. We have a lot
Yeah.
of soul purposes. I don't want to confuse people on the talk of soul purpose, but really I think we're all looking for it. It's like we're all starting to remember that we came here for something bigger and better and more meaningful and more fulfilling and deeper than the consciousness we've been living in up until this point in time and this great awakening on earth. And
Mhm.
this is just the shortcut that takes you right there.
Mhm. It's the
Like,
long
like,
cut that's a shortcut. I was just talking about that today because there's nothing short about the Gene Keys. Like there's no quick things, but a year from now, it's the shortcut that takes a long time, if I could put it that way. It's that's what I think I use the word accelerator because that sort of doesn't it's not so time dependent.
yeah.
Activator, truly. Yeah. I love how you put that though. Yeah.
Activator, right.
Yeah.
I mean, anything that takes integration takes time. In fact,
Yeah.
month 4 is called integration for a reason. We have an
Perfect.
entire month that is just about learning how to integrate and learning
Yeah.
tools. And take what you want and leave the rest. But integration takes time, and if we don't integrate, then we're not really growing. We have to give ourselves time to let
Mm.
these
Yeah.
things sink in. Um, so, well, with that, can we go through the first 4? It's called the activation sequence,
Yeah.
which we're going to be covering in
Absolutely.
the higher program.
Yeah.
So the first sphere is called life's work, and that's the pathway of
Yeah.
challenge, right? Why don't
Let me
you
back
go
up
take
just
it
a
from,
little.
okay.
Let me back up just a little bit. And those first 4 are their own specific sequence called the activation sequence or the genius sequence. And they're the 4 that are on the outside of the chart in that circle around the outside. They're considered your prime gifts. Right there, those 4. They're your prime gifts. They're the only place in the chart where you have 2 sets of 2 programming partners, which means that those 2 on the top are related and the 2 on the bottom are related, which is really fun. And they represent our foundational gifts for coming here into a body. And one thing about the Gene Keys is that they are both linear and multi-dimensional, so or holographic, hologenetic, as Richard Rudd likes to say. So there is this kind of algorithm of activation when you go through them linearly, and that's what we've been doing, the work we've been doing, Hollis, which is amazing. And once you do that, they sort of start to pop out and like act in different ways with each other. But we will be looking at these first 4 prime gifts in your program in that linear way, so that algorithmic unfolding. And there's 4 spheres. Between those 4, there's 3 pathways. There's 3 little legs that connect them. One that connects the first to the second, one that connects the second to the third, and one that connects the third to the fourth. And in these 4, in this activation sequence, that pathway of 3 segments represents an iconic pathway that all humans experience over and over: the pathway of challenge, the pathway of breakthrough, and the pathway of stabilization. Our whole lives, we go through this. We get challenged. We go, ah, we have the tension that forces us to grow. And then we have a breakthrough. Oh, I see it now. And then we stabilize that information. It becomes part of who we are as we prepare for the next challenge. So it's this beautiful meta illustration of that we're going to be going through between these. And then, as you said, the first sphere, and I'm just going to go through what they all are name wise, and then we can talk about each one. The first one is life's work, probably one of the more sort of clear titles, life's work. The second one, as you go down there to the right, it's called evolution. And suffice it to say, that's kind of your never ending challenge, the grit in your oyster. I like to call it the grit in your oyster. That's why that's a pathway of challenge. we go across to the other side of the circle, and there we have your radiant sphere. And I love this sphere. I have a tender place in my heart for the radiant sphere. It's how you shine your light. It's most closely connected to the physical body, but it's not just the physical, it's radiance on all levels. The light that shines out from us on a cellular level, on a quantum level. How beautiful. And we're getting more into the subconscious with that one. And from there, we drop down into the lowest point of the chart, the purpose sphere, the deep subconscious. And what's beautiful about this is it's the opposite twin of the life's work. The purpose sphere, as it is in the gene keys, is about being more than it's about doing. So your life's work is your doing, your purpose sphere is your being. It's that frequency that your soul shines through you just by being. Just by being here. It's your purpose in terms of coming into a place of balance so that the frequency of that being can just emanate out of you at all times. So it's a little bit of a different, it's turning kind of the conventional modernized idea of purpose, which we always say in modern life is a doing, and it's turning it on its ear and saying purpose is a being. Life's work is a doing. Life's work is how that being gets expressed. So anyway, just a little summary, but ask me more questions.
Oh, I love that. I haven't even heard you explain it in that way, and that just made me a lot more clear on
Oh, that's
even
awesome.
more
I know.
even more clear on what I've learned from
Yeah.
you over the last few months.
Yeah. I
So,
should talk about that more often.
it's just well, and that's spoiler alert. the
Yeah.
my program is based on, we talk a lot about getting to know your purpose, like
Yeah.
what fulfills you in life, what does that even mean? And we
Yeah.
talk, there's a whole month 5 in the program is called Soul Purpose.
Yeah.
And this is the spoiler alert, is there isn't, I think for maybe like a Mother Teresa or Jesus when he was embodied, there may have been like a more clear life's purpose. But for the majority of us, our values change and we evolve, and our purpose is in the beingness
Mhm.
of just being with what we are creating, what comes up, what say you
Yeah.
have someone pass away, it's like you can't plan those things. It happens. You get a disease, you deal with it. You have a baby,
Yeah.
life happens, and so our purpose is changing all the time. I think as we get older, we get clearer on what we're here to do, which is the 6th month of the program,
Yeah.
which is called service. And we talk about how we
Yeah.
apply everything that we've learned in the program into the world. But there's so many different levels of purpose that we really need to get to know ourselves
Yeah.
on all of these different ways, like
Yeah.
from all of these different angles. Why you I want to ask you one thing, and then I have to go get my computer charger because I just see that it's going off. It's blinking, and I don't want this to go dead.
Yeah, that's okay.
So I'm gonna leave Andrea on. But would you talk about like the kind of what it means to go from the life's work to the evolution? Like you said it in a
Yeah.
generalized way, but um, yeah, would you explain that just a little bit more?
Yeah. Yeah. That is the sacred tension of being in a body. And we need that. We need that to keep being called upon the pathway. The life's work is that work that we will be working on in various modes our entire life, and you'll resonate. I've seen it over and over again. When you first see these words, you'll resonate with those. You may not fully understand them, but something about them will, it's kind of like it will ring a bell deep in your cellular self. And that pathway from life's work to evolution is that the pathway that calls us to climb the mountain. That's the metaphor that is used within the gene keys materials around this particular sequence. It's this seeking of understanding. It's this the pain of the tension of the pathway of challenge calls us forward to seek solution, to seek understanding, to seek a relief from our pain. And thank goodness. This is where we can start to have gratitude for that pain, for that tension, that challenge that calls us forward to wrestle with these elements and to ultimately just a little bit more allow, accept, and embrace our shadow so that we can rise into a more intentional and more responsible way of moving forward. And so that's the purpose of that pathway, is to call us forward into growth.
Mhm. Thank you.
Yeah.
That is, yeah, I remember that was that was a challenging one for me.
Yeah.
But again,
Yeah.
humility, because it's just admitting the truth about what you kind of already know, but sometimes don't want to admit. Like you said, there's always a resonance. There's always a familiarity.
I'm really glad you said that because I meant to mention this earlier. There's four principles, four core values of working with the gene keys that are critical to bring with you at all times. They are inquiry, contemplation, patience, and gentleness. And so the
Mhm.
patience and the gentleness, we cannot leave those behind. We must extend that to ourselves and to others while we are doing this work. And also, Richard loves to say you're only allowed to spend 10% of your time in the shadow. And of course, we all spend more because we love to wallow in the shadow. But it's a good guideline to say, yes, we are here to do the work. Yes, we are here to grow. And yes, we're also here to take a break and spend time with a friend and go to dinner and swim in the ocean and have joy and play and do art and listen to music and all those things too. So I always like to bring that in.
I love it how even those of us, especially those of us working on in the self-development and working on ourselves, it's like can be the thing that takes us away from our joy and our passion. And
Yeah,
the
yeah, I
beautiful thing that
know.
the Gene Keys has done, because it is so abstracted, it so makes sense, is like there's there's very little content, but there has to be space for the contemplation. Otherwise, you're just
Yeah,
not going to get it. So it's
yeah,
given me permission to like go and do more of the things that I love and
yeah. Go
enjoy.
surf, Hollis. Go
Go
surf.
serve, exactly. And then it just drops in and then it just
Yeah,
makes sense
that's
and
right.
integrates.
Yeah.
Um, well, that kind of, yeah, I think that's a good place to we could go through
No,
the
I think it's
pathways, but
enough.
I think
We've said so much that it's like you forget how mind-blowing it is in the beginning just to get that much, right? Like we
mhm.
just need a little bit, really. It's okay because that's probably enough to have everybody's minds thinking of 10 more questions for us.
That's right. Well, and everyone knows
Yeah.
how to get a hold of me. Everyone who's watching this video knows how to get a hold of me for questions.
Mm.
So just to wrap it up, thank you so much, Andrea. Thank you for your your wisdom and your knowledge and doing your work for being able to guide and be a guide for this really, again, timeless wisdom that has completely been the accelerator on my um I guess, yeah, just me getting to know me on a deeper level, which is always a blessing when I can get to see a different side of me.
Well,
Um,
it's really been a blessing to work with you, Hollis, and you have helped me on my path so many times before. And it's been
mhm.
such a joy to share this information on a deeper level with you. And I am so excited about what we're doing here with this. And I just want to tell anyone who's watching, like, get in here because this is going to be just so alive. This is the first time we're doing this, and it feels so I can feel so much energy flowing through, so
Uh-huh.
much ease and vibrancy. Like, you do not want to miss this. Like, you really don't, because this is going to be it's going to be an epic journey. And Uh,
No,
I absolutely know none of us will be the same at the end of this as we are, including me and including you. This is going
yeah.
to be very transformational, and it's really an incredible opportunity. So thank you so much for inviting me to be part of this.
Thank you for being open to it. I literally this is going to be the fifth time I've taught this program, and a little bit has changed from time to time. Like new things come in, but the structure really hasn't. And I literally was almost ready to. I was just like, I don't know what to do. The last couple of months, I was like, I don't know what to do. I need to change it, but I don't know how. And I sat and I listened and I was patient. And then all of a sudden I was like, it's Andrea. And I called you up and you're like, heck yeah. So it's definitely charged. It's there's definitely a lot of stability to it, I think.
Hmm.
Stability
Yeah.
and that I mean, I've taught this program
From all
for
the
a
times
while.
you've done it. Yeah.
You've taught your
Yes.
program for a while,
Yes.
and now it's just going to blend and amplify
Yeah.
the growth and the acceleration and the wisdom. And it's well, every ceremony you can't predict anything, so
That's true. That's
that's
a
why
good point.
that's why you just got to get in and figure it out yourself.
Yeah.
It's magic, it's magic when you
Yeah.
open these doors. It's always challenging, but it's always so worth it because it's like it's well challenge breakthrough, right? It's like there's
Yes.
always the breakthrough. And
Yeah.
it's like when you're sick and then like the first day you don't feel sick anymore, it's just like, oh, I feel so good. Like that's what this feels like.
Yeah.
It's just like
Yes.
it just opens up this huge level of opportunity. And for me, I mean, it's my perception is just like has gone from, I mean, I'm a dreamer, I'm a visionary from here to like now way beyond
Yeah.
even places I thought I could see past. And it's blown my
Yes.
my yeah, I guess perception is the word, open of what I can accomplish and can do in the world, and also what others can can do. I mean, it's
Yeah. Yeah.
we're
I
we're in
agree.
exciting times. We're in exciting
Yeah.
times.
100%.
So I just wanted to quickly run through like for anyone considering to coming into the program. Okay, if you're watching this in the week of September 19th, we are still in the pre-launch. So there's discounts happening now. So it's worth it to get in now. We don't start the program till November 1st, but if you get in now, you're in, you're going to get, all the information as it's being created, a few bonuses early, which is cool. And the whole program will be given to you and opened up online at the end of October, right before we begin in November. So I'll be working with you for the first 2 months, so November and December. We'll probably bring Andrea in at least one or two times just to say
Sure.
hi
Yeah. Yeah.
um, before January. And then in January, so January, February, March, and April, we'll be going through one gene key at a time, in addition to the materials that are already in my program. So it's, there's 5 hours a week is a good time commitment. Some people put way more into it because they have the time and it's interesting, and some people put 2 hours into the program a week and get plenty out of it. Um, I also want to just mention that there is an invitation, again, not required, but as a part of this program, it's set up for those who want to come and do a deep dive in a retreat setting with psilocybin and many other
Mm.
therapies. We don't just do ceremonies all week. We do we do purification rituals from traditional. We do a temazcal, which is a sweat lodge. We do family constellations, which is an older therapy, but kind of newer, which is a really, really deep healing of your lineage, essentially, but so many other things. We do psilocybin ceremony, and then we have 4 full days of integration. We'll definitely be talking about the gene keys. I haven't even
Mhm.
discussed with Andrea whether she's going to come to one of those retreats or not. But there are actually 2 retreats happening during the 6-month period. So
Yeah.
that gives you an opportunity if you're enrolling in the November program to come to the retreat mid-December or in February. And it's a really integral part if you're in the plant medicine piece because you're so prepared. You're so prepared to meet the medicine that whatever you get from that journey, and not just from the journey, it's the week. I mean,
Yeah.
it's a hugely transformational week. Um, it's I would encourage you if you have the time and the resources to join us in one of those retreats because it really is the thing that everyone talks about in their testimonials after the 6 months.
Yeah.
It's the thing that everyone remembers
Yeah.
forever. It's the medicine that, continues to be the thing that you're learning from a year later. So it is really, they do go together well. I just wanted to remind people signing up for the program that it's not required, but it definitely is encouraged, again, if you have the time and resources to come to one of those retreats. It's here in Mexico too, by the way. So it's like not like you're not gonna you're gonna get this beautiful space,
Yeah.
gonna see a bunch of whales, gonna spend time with a whole bunch of amazing people, and spend time in person with myself and the other facilitators, and hopefully Andrea.
Yeah. It's
I
really one of the most magical places on earth, honestly.
mean, it is. I haven't left in 6 years. Oh, well, thank you so much, Andrea. Anyone who
Thank
has,
you, Hollis.
yes, you're welcome. Thank you for everyone who's watched this, and any questions, shoot them my way. This will be on my YouTube channel, so you'll have access to me through whatever link I put through on my YouTube channel. And wherever else I share this, I'm going to be sure that you have a way of getting a hold of me. So thank you. And I look forward to seeing you all in November to start this epic journey of mind blowing transformation.
Yeah, thanks again. We'll see you there.